Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the 8th grade concept of slope and y-intercept. This is standard 8.4C in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 24, which is a new item type called equation editor, off the 2023 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. Alright, so we have a pretty simple linear equation graphed here for us. They're asking us for the slope and the y-intercept, and it's this equation editor, so we're going to have to just hand enter them. No A, B, C, or D to choose from. So let's go ahead and figure out what those two are. If we want to open up our reference material, we will see that on our linear equation section, move this over here, right, we've got our slope-intercept form. Right, and we can also see that third line is going to be very helpful. The slope of a line is the change in y over the change in x. All right, so we can graph that real quick, and we can just go ahead and say, you know what? Let's just take the coordinates that they gave to us. All right, so let's make this our x1 and our y1. Let's make that our x2 and our y2. Okay. And you could have flipped those if you want to, as long as your x1 is always with your y1. So our y2 minus y1, that's going to be our numerator. And then our x2 minus x1, that's what we have. So let's just go ahead and plug those in. So my y2 is -3 minus my y1 is -1. So we'll end up making that a positive. And then my x2 is going to be -4. Right, and then my x1 is 4, so we're going to -4. So that's going to end up being -3 plus 1, so that's going to be -2 over -8, right? And so since the two negatives cancel out, we're going to get positive 1/4. And that does make sense. Moving from left to right, it does move up, right? So it's going to go up 1 over 4. That's our next point. Up 1 over 4. And if you wanted to, you could have just drawn that and could have figured out what your slope is. So my slope is going to be 1/4. Now we've got a few options on this 1/4 here. You can put slope as 1/4. In order to make that happen on this equation editor, this is what you need to do. You need to hit this fraction button first so that you see a fraction. Then you hit your numerator, and then you've got to click down to get your denominator. So once you do that, you've got your 1/4. That works. If you don't do that, if you try to hit the 1 and then your fraction, it's going to look like a mixed number. So you're going to need to do that. Or if you wanted to, 1/4 equals 0.25. So let's make sure we hit that decimal rather than the dash, right? And we've got to make sure we get all of our points in there. So 0.25. That is also equivalent if you wanted to put that in there. So that is another option, 0.25. Or probably you just want to go and hit that 1/4 if you want to keep that in there. It looks like it wasn't taking 0.25, so we could just put a 0.25. That is also the slope, and I'm going to go ahead and go back here and put the 1/4. So let's just put that in there, 1/4. Now we need my y-intercept. Now we could eyeball this, right? The y-intercept looks like it's going to be right there at that -2, right? And if we wanted to, we could just put in that -2. We could also just plug in an x and a y, right? We could say -1 equals, my slope is 1/4 times my x is 4 plus b, and then solve for b, right? So that's going to be -1 equals, right, multiply that 4 over 4 plus b, that's going to be a +1, so -1 equals 1 plus b. Subtract 1 from both sides, yeah, b does equal -2. So I proved it mathematically, but also we can visually see that. So now we need to make our y-intercept 2, right? So the x is going to be 0, right? My y-intercept, and it's going to be that -2, so hit that negative sign. We need to grab that 2. So the x value is 0, the y-intercept is -2, and that is my answer.